Now, there's been a massive outcry when government implemented the controversial requirements for unabridged birth certificates when traveling. Now, there seems to be a change of heart. Foreign minors traveling to South Africa will no longer be required to carry their unabridged certificates. For more on this, SABC News spoke to Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi.
We are making it very clear. It's no longer wanted. You don't have to produce it anywhere.
Right.
And that message will go out very clearly after the meeting of the Immigration Advisory Board, which is meeting tomorrow. Okay. And I've instructed that the message must go to IATA, must go to the Tourism Council, must go to all the tourism bodies and to all our ports of entry, so that our officials and immigration officials can understand that.
So let's make it perfectly clear. If somebody is traveling tonight to South Africa, will they need it, the unabridged certificate?
They shouldn't, but as I'm saying, we haven't really sent out the message very clearly.
Right.
So it's possible that one immigration officials might not have heard about it. That's why I'm saying from Friday, we'll issue that message very clear. I mean by Friday, not from Friday, very clear. But at the moment, you really don't need it. But only that some officials are still confused.
There needs to be this distinction between those that are traveling to South Africa and those that are traveling from South Africa. I'm leaving overseas with my 8-year-old son in December. Will I need his unabridged birth certificate?
Yeah, these are two different things, and I think it's good that you asked. When a visitor comes from South Africa, that's where we don't demand any birth certificate at all. That's where the controversy was, that an unabridged birth certificate was demanded. We no longer demand any birth certificate. But when you are a South African and you are leaving South Africa to go to another country, that's a different story altogether. It's completely different. They are not the same. Between a South African and a non-South African. When you are a South African leaving the country with a minor child, all we want is proof that there's been consent from the other parent. We don't necessarily want the birth certificate and all that. If you produce it as proof, yes, but we want consent from the other parent. This is according to the Children's Act, but the obvious thing is that we don't want parents to punish each other when they are fighting. One takes the kids and run away. That's basically what you are defending. And it's a very important thing. So how it works, because I've learned this morning that a lot of people are confused. When you go to apply for a passport these days, as from September last year, you no longer fill a form manually. It's now computerized.
Correct.
And on the screen, there will be a section that asks you about this issue of marriage. So it's divided into many sections. The first one section is about married people. If you apply for the passport for this child, you will then say, I'm married. If you say so, we immediately get into the population register, because we have got it, to check whether indeed you are married or not. And if you are married, both the husband and wife are going to be entered on that passport. If you are not married, then we would like to go to the population register to check if you are single. In that case, you don't need any consent. Then there's another third complication, another third grouping, I mean to say, of people who say they are married but they never registered their marriages. Then that becomes a problem, because what proof do you have? Then we are going to send you away to try and get affidavits and proofs and all that, you know. And that's where maybe an unabridged birth certificate will be demanded. You know? So otherwise, ordinarily, we don't demand any certificate. We just want to know that the other parents has consented, that the child can get out of the country. And that consent can appear in the passport. Now the problem will be those people who got children who got passport before September last year, because they were not looking for consent or the names of both parents. That's when then we'll ask for things like an unabridged birth certificate.
So I guess this is a process, and those things needs to be ironed out. So just to be clear, those that are coming into South Africa, they don't need it unabridged, but if you are leaving South Africa with a minor, you need the unabridged.
No. If you are leaving South Africa with a minor, you need consent from the other parent.
As well as the
but if just consent.
Just consent.
Which you can get when you apply for the passport.
I see.
Just consent.
Okay.
But if you got your passport, because we started this issue of consent on passport, putting them on passport only in September.
Right.
Yes. If you got the minor got the passport before September last year, obviously there's no consent inside it.
I get you.
Then we'll ask for an unabridged birth certificate.
Yeah. Okay,
because an unabridged birth certificate has got both the mother and father on it.
Yes. Look, there's a lot of confusion around this,
Yeah,
and I think it's
true.
important for you to clarify this.
Absolutely.
No doubt the tourism industry must be celebrating. But why the U-turn, Minister? Because my understanding, the initial reason that we were given for doing this was to combat child trafficking.
Indeed.
Child trafficking is still very much an issue.
Indeed.
So why the about turn?
I won't call it a U-turn. When a country, and it's not only South Africa, determine the issues of visas, whether to give you visa free or this type of visa or a work visa for this long, when they do that, there are usually three main things they consider. The first one is the sovereignty of your country and the security of people within the borders of that country. But the second one is the developmental needs of the country. At this level of development, at this point in time, what does the country need the most, more than any other thing? The third thing, of course, is stability. Whether there will be, stability and safety of people in that particular country. So you combine those. Now, at the moment, why we reviewed the issue of visa is because when the economy started getting into problems, the president announced a stimulus package last year, if you remember, in September. And a whole lot of things were put in the list of stimulus package, the issues to be improved. One of them was this visa issue, which means then the stimulus package is about kickstarting the economy, creating more jobs, which means then that your main consideration becomes the developmental needs of your country than any other. And in terms of our developmental needs, we need tourism to start being lively, to create more jobs and kickstart the economy.
So this was used as a measure in order to stop child trafficking. It's been removed now. What's the other measures?
Yes, now we removed it because we said you can use other methods of child trafficking. This is not the only way you combat child trafficking.
So there are measures in place currently?
Of course. Yes. I mean, security measures must be in place from police, from Interpol, from our own officials. You can fight child trafficking. You don't necessarily fight it by stopping tourists from coming into the country. We've removed that. It doesn't mean we can't fight child trafficking.
Right.
Yes.
So you are confident that, one, this message, the new policy now, will filter down by Friday, by the weekend, to all Home Affairs officials, and two, we shouldn't have an issue with regards to child trafficking now that this has been removed.
No, we can't say you shouldn't have an issue with child trafficking. We're just saying in fighting child trafficking, we can't use this method of people visiting with abridged or unabridged birth certificate. We can use other methods.
Yeah.
It will be wrong for us to say we don't care about child trafficking. We do care, but we are saying there are other methods we can use other than this one. The present visa regime, we are using it to deal with the developmental needs of the country, tourism, the economy, and jobs.
So it seems over the past 5 years, government has learned. Talk to us about your engagement with not only the tourism industry stakeholders, but also private sector as well. Talk to us about government's engagement with them in terms of bringing about certain changes. Do you engage with them frequently?
Of course we do. This announcement I'm making was engaged with at NETLAC, the Presidential Working Committee at NETLAC, on Monday last week, where the President met labor, business, civil society and government officials. Each minister was reporting about the progress towards the stimulus package, towards creation of jobs. And I reported about this issue. So we do engage a lot with them. There's no question about it.
Right.
Remember, there was a job summit. So that report back was also about what is the progress of the issues that transpired at the job summit.
Right.
And the job summit was about creation of jobs. And if we believe removal of unabridged birth certificate will make sure that tourism flourishes, and when tourism flourishes, there's job creation, then so be it.
So changes in the Home Affairs Department afoot. Can you keep up, though, in terms of your service delivery obligations? How is the department's financial health? You briefed Parliament's Portfolio Committee. You raised a lot of concerns with regards to funding. What's the current status?
Look, I think every South African know the state in which the economy is. Even here, at Auckland Park, here where we are, you struggled financially. All government departments are struggling because there have been budget cuts, because the economy is not growing. The revenue services did not collect as much money as it could collect because the economy is not growing. So for that reason, it's not only Home Affairs. Every government department is suffering very severe budget cuts or budget constraints. So we are all swimming in the same pool, all of us, including yourself here in SABC. I understand you've just been given some package to try and help you, but we've been struggling. So we all experiencing a similar problem.